All right, we got the TCI rear link set up for Mike's car. Got this in a few days ago. Shout out to Saxy Rod Shop for helping us order this. And thank you TCI for helping us with the upgrade as well. So what we're gonna do is we've already got the old suspension pulled off of it. Got to start doing some modifications here. So what I'm gonna end up doing is moving this lift arm back a little bit, removing this plug to access the hole, and we're gonna start off by doing the mount plates that go on the inside of both subframe connectors. All right, got the plates installed on both sides. You can see here, this side too. So what we're gonna do now is, since the bracket is held in place, now we're gonna drill our holes through the floor. And then on the top side, we've already got the carpet removed, and it's gonna be a bracket that sandwiches the floor basically all together. So one thing I wanted to point out, that this kit is extremely well designed, and it actually corrects any issues that the car body or frame may actually have. And I'm gonna show you what I mean by that. So if you look at the passenger side plate, now this is actually gonna tie the subframe connectors to the factory frame rail. But if you look at this, you know, the instructions say to make sure that this plate is flush with the floor, which it is here. It doesn't go any further than that. But if we look at it, look at the gap here. So imagine a line going straight across from the stock frame on both ends. If you can tell, it's actually slanted down on this side. So there's more here than there is there. Now we compare that over here to the driver's side. It's evenly across, right? So you see that. So because the subframe connectors go here and they go at a, you know, horizontal line to the front, if we look at here, that means this subframe connector is actually going to be pointed down toward the front. So we don't want that. So with the holes that we're going to drill here, sandwiching the plate up top on the inside is actually going to bring this up in order to make this even. So it's going to correct an issue that this floor has here. All right, holes are drilled. So now we're going to go back on the inside and put our support plates. Okay, the one thing we are going to have to do is we're going to have to remove the front transmission cross member. That actually bolted up to the subframe, factory subframe. This kit actually has these boxes actually sandwich or slip over the factory subframe. So we're going to go ahead and cut those off so we can slide these boxing reinforcement brackets up onto the factory subframe. All right, we have them cut off, and now what we're going to do is take off the transmission cross member. So let's go ahead and get that done. There we go. We're just going to keep the transmission held in place while we go ahead and install the rest of it. All right, just like with any installation, you may run into some things where you're just going to have to change. For example, their instructions doesn't mention anything about removing the e-brake cable bracket or trimming the edges of the factory boxing plate. Their instructions just say hammer it in place. After 40 years, it might be a little Willy Wonka's, but with a few hammers here and there, a few hammer blows, it'll slide in. Well, that's not the case on Mike's Mustang, and I'll show you. All right, so if you see here, we have an e-brake cable bracket that's going to be in the way, and the way that these are designed, they actually kick out. So we're going to have to remove the edges of the subframe. So basically cut straight down right here. That way it's a nice even box. Same for this side. This one has a e-brake cable hook, which should not interfere, but we will need to trim these edges. All right, we have the passenger side trimmed up already, cleaned up the welds from where the transmission crossmember used to weld onto. So now that this is done, I'll go ahead and put this subframe connector in while our batteries charge in order to cut the other side, the driver's side. As you can tell here, we're getting really tight. I don't know if you could see in the time-lapse video before this shot, but I was actually hitting it pretty good, and it's gotten to the point where it's just snug and it stopped. So I'm going to pry it back off, and I'm going to clean out these edges once a little bit more around the back end, because that's where it kind of feels like it's getting stuck, is back here. Not so much on the front side. And then what I'm probably going to end up doing too is just, we had already undercoated this car about a year ago, so I'm going to just clean off the entire undercoat from the stock subframe connector, and hopefully that just allows it to, you know, go up a little bit more snug. All right, it's getting a little better. Now we're about 3/4 of an inch before it closes, so we'll go ahead and pull it back off again, clean some more. Just like the instructions, we may need to hammer a little bit of the factory subframe bracket here, so we'll go ahead and pull it back off, but we're getting really close. All right, look at that, that worked perfect. So now we are nice and flush along the top side. We have a little bit of a gap there, let's say about 1/8 or so, but that'll sandwich shut when we drill our 5/16 holes, put our reinforcement plate up top, and then just sandwich it together. So once we do that, then we're gonna drill our holes straight across on the subframe, stock subframe. So we go ahead and work on this side now and blow this e-brake cable bracket off. All right, driver's side subframe connector is on. Fought the front a little bit, but we ended up blowing the bracket off and getting it to sit up flush. Now what we're gonna do is drill the 2 holes straight across. All right, our holes are drilled straight through. Same on this side here. So what we'll do now is remove the rear bolts from the subframe connector, and we're going to install our cam member. I think it's so funny how we think we've cleaned every nook and cranny, and the more you beat on it, it's got dust and debris and rocks and all this stuff in hidden places. But anyway, so let me show you what this looks like. That just, it looks so good. What I have now is everything is bolted up loosely. Per the instructions, you don't want to tighten everything down because you're going to run into fitment issues. So front and rear and all the bolts are loosely, they're all snug basically. So what I'm going to do now is probably stop here for today, and then explain what the next step is on a follow-up video. All right, I think we're done for today. We got a lot accomplished, which was good. We got the foundation of this torsion bar setup installed already. We have front subframe connectors going to the rear plates are installed. We have our 5/16 holes drilled through the floor for the front and rear upper plates. The next step now is going to be, well, let me backtrack. We have everything loose fit, right? We don't want to tighten everything down because then it's just going to make a hard time when we go to install everything, like I had mentioned previously. The thing I'm going to do now is probably going to do a change up. So originally we had a different 4-link setup on the car, also from TCI, but in the process of the build, we ended up upgrading to a torsion bar setup. And again, thanks TCI for helping us with that. We had a quick performance rear end that had tabs fabricated for the old TCI setup, 4-link, right? Well, when we switched over to this setup, we either had one or two options: cut all those brackets off to make it fit to this, which we're like, oh, you know what, let's not go that route. That rear end is already powder coated, let's just set it off. We will take the third member off of that to use that, but the housing itself, it's too nice to use. So then I said, all right, well, let's just use Mike's factory rear end, blow those brackets off, and get it to work with this kit. But after I looked at it, I'm like, you know, everything is so custom on the car that a factory rear end housing would just look off. It would just look too plain for all the trouble that we're going through. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna research and find a rear end housing that would work for us. We need it to be center mounted yoke. I know Summit has several in stock. I'm gonna see what they have. Probably here in the next few days, I'll get the rear end. It'll be a fabricated 9-inch rear end, but it comes all plain. So at that point, we'll have to weld on our clean brackets, which are, oh, I don't have them here. But anyways, we'll have those. We can weld those on. We can do our axle flanges, and then go on to the next step, which would be the torsion bar, the upper coilover bar, and the 2 link bars. So today we have a solid 5 hours. We could push a little bit more, but I got to make notes of everything, and then start looking for a rear end. So thanks for tuning in. This is part 1 of the installation for the 4-link. Part 2 will come out probably in the next week or 2 weeks. We know we have wheels to order, and tires, so that'll come in the next few weeks. But again, thanks for watching. Please hit the like button and subscribe.